Hey everyone, PushingUpRoses here, and I am starting 2022 on an interesting note by talking about one of the most wild movies I'd never heard of, Two of a Kind, starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. I'm guessing you've also never heard of this film, and there's a very good reason for that. It's a disaster. A very, very, very entertaining disaster, starting with the DVD box. Poor Olivia, she had all of her facial features airbrushed away, and apparently she doesn't have any shoulders. Her head is just haphazardly sitting on the box's border. And you've never seen a DVD menu quite like this. I don't know what to focus on first, the horrible font, the lens flare, the egregious cropping around Olivia's mullet, and don't worry, these ridiculous sunglasses will be explained later on. You know, before we start, let's take a look at the special features. Oh goody, trailers for other movies, awesome. I don't know what I was expecting there. John Travolta stars in this unique blend of comedy, fantasy, and romance as an unsuccessful inventor who robs a bank in order to keep up payments to a loan shark. But the fast-thinking clerk, Olivia Newton-John, tricks him and keeps the money. Meanwhile, up in heaven, the Supreme Being is talked out of doing away with mankind by angels who promise a miracle. They're convinced they can make these two equally selfish people perform a great sacrifice. Yeah, it's one of those prove humanity is good so God doesn't wipe us out stories, but with extra shenanigans. The movie begins in heaven, and wow, I didn't realize heaven looks like the fucking mist. It's rather ominous. I also love that this background is just an overlay of a storm. At least God has his own lanai. So we're following these angels that have been watching over the world while God was on a 25-year vacation, and they sure do like to mess with each other. Oh no. These special effects. Oh God, indeed. So God says he's disappointed in how the angels have taken care of things while he was away and decides the best thing to do is wipe the slate clean and start over, meaning he's gonna cause a flood and bring everyone up to heaven. The angels are like, hang on, give us a second. There is surely goodness left in the world. We can find one redeeming person somewhere. So they find this guy. Are you serious? This Herb? You couldn't find someone working for a charity or a healthcare worker? Man, I'd flood the world too if you showed me this guy. John Travolta plays Zach, an inventor who currently owes a lot of money to a loan shark who shows up to threaten him with a dull razor. He tells Zach he has until 6 p.m. to get him the dough.
Or else
I'm gonna give you a shave. It's gonna cause razor burn. Back at Zach's place, we get to see all of his inventions. A nutcracker, a pet food dispenser, He very gingerly opens a bag to reveal a gun. He accidentally pulls the trigger while it's in his pants, but reveals the barrel is empty. You see, Zach has a plan, but first he must coordinate the perfect disguise. He looks like Paul Rudd dressed up as the Styx guy. Or wait, George Michael! Come on! He approaches Debbie's station because they have matching mullets. He flashes the gun at her and tells her to bring him $13,464. In the film's attempt at comedy, Zach's mustache starts to come off, which amuses Debbie but sends Zach into a mini crisis. God, I just can't do anything right. While he's waiting, another teller approaches him.
Can I help you?
No, I'm just, I left the bag here yesterday. I'm waiting, see if they find it.
Yeah, I do coke too.
I'm single.
Ooh, our girl likes a bad boy. He takes the bag of money but is found out. He manages to escape, mustache flying in the wind. The angels realize their mistake and ask if they can just have a few more hours. Perhaps Zach will do the right thing. I don't know why they think Zach is gonna shape up, but sure, let's just focus on this goof a bit longer. Zach gets home and finds Debbie filled the bag with a bunch of scrap paper. We get an extra long scene of him scrambling around and fumbling with the bag. The number Debbie put on the bag is of course not hers, and Zach is angry. Debbie gets fired and goes home to find her bed has been repossessed and the landlord has been asking for rent payment. He shows up with a drink and starts demanding money in the creepiest way possible. Okay, but did this utter knob just think, you know what? I'm gonna make myself a Long Island iced tea and then quick to the neighbors. Luckily, Debbie has the money because she stole the money herself. That's right, we have a clumsier version of Psycho going on. Meanwhile, Zach puts on his best sweater vest and starts packing. The loan shark and his henchmen go to collect their money, but an obnoxious dog barking doorbell staves them off for a moment. They quickly realize the trick and bust through the door. Wow, that stunt door isn't even a little subtle, it's bending. The henchman is taken by all of Zach's failed inventions.
would you buy one?
Yeah.
Oh, this sweet summer child. I love him.
No, I don't like music. It all sounds the same to me.
Okay, nobody asked you, you psycho. Also, who wrote that line? There's no dialogue before it. It's just a shot of the car the sharks are in. It feels like maybe the henchman asked his boss if he wanted to listen to music, and that was his answer. I feel so bad for this guy, just continually getting abused by this music-hating asshole.
You know, boss, I too have feelings.
I too have feelings. What are you doing? Going to college now, huh? Huh? Ah!
Jesus! They spot Zach, and what follows is the most cardboard chase scene ever made. I feel like these cars are going like 20 miles an hour, and the song that plays in the background, called Twisted Fate by Olivia Newton-John, is slowed down and redone with French horns? Like, seriously, this song is usually a banger and they turned it into lukewarm oatmeal. During the chase scene, Zach ends up on top of a van. The shark cuts him off and Zach is flung over a bridge, crushing Debbie, who happened to be leaving a restaurant. This is meant to kill them both, though Debbie appears to still be moving. God is like, ha! Told ya, time for that flood.
To do a great right, you must do a little wrong.
You know, like it says in the Bible. Charlie, who seems to be the head angel, posits that if Zach could turn things around and make a sacrifice, that would be a miracle, and thus the world would be worth saving. God's like, yeah, okay, but the sacrifice has to be for Debbie, and she has to make a sacrifice for him too. This is the weirdest matchmaking movie I've ever seen. The angels are given a week to make this happen, and yes, apparently they are now allowed to intervene. I'm not sure why, up until now they were just letting things progress naturally. Charlie has the power to rewind everything and starts going back to before Zach's demise. During this, the devil shows up, pauses everything, and my, what a predictable looking devil. Handlebar mustache, suave looking suit, a cane. I feel like this portrayal of the devil has been around forever. He also gets this ridiculous theme music. Very evil. He freezes things right before Zach crushes Debbie, and I love how you can tell he's just in front of a screen. He wants to make some kind of deal with Charlie for some dogs?
I'll bet you dogs.
Dogs?
Yes, dogs. I mean, if there is a flood, then you pitch in dogs as well.
This dialogue makes no sense. This whole section is so weird. Why does the devil want dogs so badly?
Look, I haven't got any animals down there, but I've got a lot of very strange people that love to get dogs.
The angels managed to get rid of him for now, and we're forced to watch this damn chase scene again. This time, the angel Earl cuts off the loan sharks, and Zach is able to get away.
Get the horn, the bus died.
I just really love how that line was delivered. The next morning, Debbie is reading the paper.
Bank robber flirts and escapes with 15,000 smackaroos.
So this confused the shit out of me at first because they used this huge photo of Debbie and I thought the article was referring to her. So I kept thinking, how'd they know she stole the money? Why is she wandering around in plain sight in this sassy 80s businesswoman power suit? It is referring to Zach. It just melted my brain there for a moment. Debbie wants to be an actress and takes acting classes in the city, which is kind of funny because Olivia Newton-John was apprehensive about her acting skills and enrolled in classes for this film. The good news is she's fantastic at acting like she's a terrible actress. Her instructor tells her to reimagine the bank robbery and react to it.
Please don't hurt me. I'll do anything you say.
Wow, these ladies in the back are just cracking up. It's not that funny. She's doing her best.
You're a clown. An impotent joke.
Or not. She's crashing and burning. She suddenly spots Zach in the audience and there's a lot of awkward eye contact. She then has a full-blown panic attack, but nobody cares because they think she's acting, which is weird because they all know she can't act. She keeps pointing at him and he makes a lazy effort to hide. The instructor takes a moment to be creepy and helps her crumble to the floor. What is happening? Apparently she was so good she made these women cry. Her roommates are supposed to be going to Fire Island that night, which I learned is an iconic place for the LGBTQ community, and now I'm questioning this guy's intentions. Debbie asks them to come back to the apartment to make sure Zach isn't there before they leave. It appears to be all clear, so they head out.
We have got to get to the beach by 9. I've got serious rays to catch.
Rays, Steves, Mikes. So Debbie is left alone. Holy shit, that was unexpected. Also, did someone just throw this poor cat for the shot? I hate Mondays. Because they only checked a single room in the apartment, nobody found Zach waiting there. Waiting to raid her refrigerator. He chases her around with a cold one in hand and tells her he wants the money. She tries to play dumb, but remember, bad actress.
You moron.
So Zach threatens to burn her headshots unless she gives him whatever's left. She spent some of the money on this hideous armoire, but gives the remaining cash back to Zach to ensure the safety of her headshots. Cause sure, I know I'd choose my headshots over $8 grand.
These are terrible.
As he leaves, she asks him where her doorknob is. In some deranged form of flirting, he shows her he stole it.
Do you want me to put it in or don't you?
Oh yes, put it in. Put in your knob. Lord.
Is that you've got to, Hold the nuts while you screw.
I hate it. As Zach storms off, her roommates return, having missed their train and the weird sexual tension that just ensued. Oh wow, I've never seen anyone so disgusted by juggling before. I think it's sexy. If you can juggle torches, call me. Debbie, apparently charmed by knobs and screws, follows Zach around and says she really needs the cash. Zach responds that if he doesn't pay the loan shark back, he will cut off his ears. She asks him what he needed the money for, and he shows her his invention.
They're edible. Check it out.
I love how these are clearly not the same sunglasses in the other shots because no one in their right mind would wear these.
Ugh, that's disgusting. Tastes like shit.
You know how when you get robbed and harassed by someone and you think, man, I want to date them.
Taxi!
Oh, it's so touchy. And I was gonna buy you dinner.
So they go to this fancy plaza where every guy is being extremely friendly with Debbie. Zach assumes it's because she slept with all of them. With every guy.
I have a crush on every boy!
So yeah, she waitressed here. Turns out before trying to become an actress, Debbie had a string of failed jobs.
I'm praying I'm gonna get a call back for this Broadway show.
Broadway? Oh, honey.
You think you're a pretty hot shot with that gun in your hand, don't you? But you're nothing but a cheap crook.
Oh no, baby, no. Time for a visit from the devil.
So nice to see you, Mr. Beasley.
Ah yes, Beasley, as in Beelzebub. Very clever. So I don't know how to describe this scene other than insane. To stir up trouble, the devil invites the loan sharks to the restaurant so they can purposely run into Zach, and then all hell breaks loose. Get it? All hell breaks loose because the devil. The shark demands the money, threatening to cut Debbie's ears off. Zach makes a run for it, and for some reason the henchman, dives into the air? Whee! Charlie and Beasley talk while the scene is frozen with some egregious continuity errors. Check it out. No guy, guy. No guy, guy. Where did he come from? Charlie tries to tell the devil if that these two don't fall in love, God will send a flood, bring everyone to heaven, and thus he will have no one to play with anymore. He doesn't care and enjoys the chaos in the restaurant, including this totally unnecessary boob shot. They freeze and fast forward in succession until God gets angry and sets off the sprinkler system, cause yeah, that'll teach them. There's so much happening that while the sharks are trying to, rip Zach's clothes off to get the money, it goes flying everywhere like one of those money grabbing machines. The devil revels in this, strutting around and singing Rain by the Beatles.
When the rain comes, they run and hide their heads.
There's actually significance to this song choice, and it's so silly, I must share it with you. According to IMDb, at the conclusion of the chaos at the plaza, Oliver Reed's devilish Beasley character joyously croons an uncredited rendition of the Beatles' lesser-known songs Rain. The Beatles' recording was a radical departure from the love songs that had catapulted the band into international acclaim, and it was the first single to incorporate various auto-distortion techniques that would quickly become standards, not only in their own catalog, but throughout the entire music industry. The unspoken implication is the sinister Mr. Beasley corrupted the Beatles. Debbie had returned home by herself, mad that Zach had left her there, but he explains that he ran because he knew the sharks would follow him. He invites himself inside to get cleaned up, mostly to avoid talking to her creepy landlord.
Can't stand that guy.
Debbie is nice enough to wash his clothes while Zach gets fresh. He clearly wants to get physical. He puts on some Boz Skaggs, which frankly would seduce me, so I'm not judging his methods, then asks Debbie to dance. Can I just say this? Who puts their TV on the bottom shelf? So they're making out and the angels are watching. Is this what angels do in their spare time? Perv out? Debbie says, I'm not gonna make love to you. And Zach is like, okay, just don't stop touching me. Debbie decides she wants to stop and Zach gets all pouty. He goes on this weird rant about how he wouldn't make love to him either and that he's happy she won't make love to him. Barf. This reverse psychology bullshit turns Debbie on for some reason, but her roommates barge in right before they can do anything. Zach and Debbie start dating, so you know what that means. A dating montage. Man, nothing says romance like a drink in a bag and a bucket of chicken. Oh god, he's a magician. Girls, don't fall for this. Look, you can still see the match in his hand. Oh, and she's wearing the edible sunglasses. Come on, Zach, do it. Eat them off her face. Debbie comes home to a message about a final callback for that Broadway show she was trying out for, but unfortunately, she missed it because she was out with Zach. He tries to console her, but she is distraught, saying there will never be another part for her in this town. Beasley, once again, points the loan sharks to Zach as some strange tie continuity happens. Zach tells her there will be more parts, and they go back and forth a bit.
You can create your own inventions. I can't create my own parts.
Debbie, he just tried to rob a bank. He's not exactly thriving. The sharks break into the apartment and demand the money, but they only have $10 because everyone ran off with it when it rained down in the plaza. My dear, sweet summer child decides he's had enough of his boss's abuse and shoves his gun down his throat. Holy crap. He then tells Zach and Debbie to run. That's my boy. They try to escape, but the cops are right there waiting for them, tipped off by Beasley. The devil working with the cops, huh? Not surprising. They're both sent to jail where a hard-ass Ernie Hudson tries to get them to turn on each other, hoping for a confession for the bank robbery. You know, Ernie Hudson, known for this movie and this movie only. He tells Zach that Debbie threw him under the bus and he gets scared and spills all the beans, even though Debbie is keeping it together and refusing to rat him out. The angels try to convince God that this was a half miracle since Debbie was willing to sacrifice her life for Zach, but God wants a whole miracle and decides to bring on the flood. And it is all this guy's fault. Luckily for Zach and Debbie, the tape the confession on was lost, so I guess they were acquitted? Not really sure how that all worked out. And then, my friends, this movie gets boring. It just loses all of its energy right around this point, but we're gonna slog through it anyway. Debbie feels betrayed by Zach, tells him it's too bad he can be tricked, and walks away. I just want to make a note that it is so weird to hear Olivia Newton-John start singing right after her character says a line and is still on the screen. I don't know why, it's just really jarring. So everyone is just kind of sulking. The devil teases the angels for not being able to do their jobs and asks where they think God will send everyone, hoping he'd get more people sent to him. I do not know why he's not understanding this, because Charlie told him several times that God is bringing everyone up, the devil will have no one, and finally he gets it. Now he must think as he walks away to his amazing theme song. I think the movie must have realized its own dullness at some point because it decides to randomly fall off the rails again. Zach misses Debbie and tries to woo her while she's working, now as a waitress. Gosh, this is just every girl's dream, to be pestered while at their job. Just look at her reaction. That is the face of a woman who clearly wants the sex. Suddenly, sirens start going off. There was a robbery across the street and a man with a gun was spotted. The cops show up at the restaurant and try to evacuate everyone, and my god, this escalated so quickly, it's like an entirely different movie started playing. Debbie is now being held hostage by the gunman. Zach tries to save her, but is escorted out by the negotiator.
Look, you wanted to stay alive? Come on.
Is that a joke? We are 5 minutes away from the end of the world as we know it, and now we have this going on. The gunman starts shooting at snipers on the roof and demands everyone get down. He takes Debbie up to the roof as God starts sending thunder and lightning. The cops are just kind of farting around trying to figure out what to do, but Zach just can't wait. He flies over the cars and flees up to the roof. I love how even his jumps look like dance moves, like he's still in Saturday Night Fever. Whee! He gets himself up there, shields Debbie, and is fatally wounded. The gunman is about to shoot Debbie as well, but is shot by one of the cops and explodes into a cloud of feathers? Was this guy a goose? I mean, they are intensely violent creatures. Because Zach sacrificed himself for Debbie right before the clock struck midnight, God decides to veto the flood thing and even heals the bullet wound. They confess their love for each other and the world is saved! Charlie approaches the devil, who is busy posing. He spies the gunman's outfit in the trash, and the devil is like, those don't belong to me. And Charlie is like, you're a good man, Mr. Satan. The devil struts off, stopping to give the angel a knowing look. Milady? Milady? Charlie picks up a random Shakespeare book he finds on the fucking ground and gives it to Zach, the only connection to this being that God kept quoting Shakespeare for some reason. Then Zach boldly states,
God, this has been a crazy week.
What a line! Then they walk away, turning to smile at the camera. This is my new favorite bad movie. I can't get enough of it. The weird continuity errors, the mashing together of several plots, the edible sunglasses, the terrible effects, Olivia Newton-John's over-the-top acting.
How dare you point that gun at me? How dare you threaten to blow my brains out?
It is so fun to watch. I don't think I have to point out the flaws in this movie any more than I already have, so let's get into some trivia. A producer named Robert Stigwood was originally involved in this film but left due to creative differences. He wanted Donald Pleasance for the role of the devil, Bill Murray for the role of Charlie, George Burns for the role of Earl, and Lily Tomlin for the role of Ruthie. Donald Pleasance would have been a fantastic cast, but I cannot imagine Bill Murray as Charlie. He'd just be Bill Murraying the entire time. The soundtrack was incredibly successful, partially due to Olivia Newton-John's amazing vocal skills. The main single was called Twist of Fate, which plays throughout the movie, and I thought that should have been the title. Two of a kind? Blech. Twist of Fate made so much more sense. In fact, I kept accidentally calling it that while I was working on this video. The voice of God was played by Gene Hackman, who went uncredited. I can't help but wonder if he saw this film and was like, Hey, don't worry about crediting me. It's all good. The movie was nominated for 5 Razzie Awards. John Travolta for Worst Actor, Olivia Newton-John for Worst Actress,
You moron.
and John Hertzfeld for Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Picture. To be honest, I did enjoy the chemistry between Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. They seem to have a very real connection, and it shows in their interactions. And if it wasn't for them, this film would be so much more boring, but they were very charming together.
You're insane.
Oh, come on, taste it. They're delicious.
Well, mostly. I hope you enjoyed this little riff session, and actually I hope it inspires you to watch the movie because it's just so absurd, it's worth it. It's not easy to find streaming online, so now I'm the proud owner of this cheap as shit DVD box that housed this blank DVD. Awesome. If you have a questionable movie you'd like to see me cover, please leave a suggestion in the comments, and if you have more to say about this film, please do. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Bye for now. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video on Two of a Kind. If you like this, I have more videos you might be interested in, but first I want to thank my patrons for supporting me. You are the best. You make it possible for me to keep making videos, and you inflate my ego just enough for it to not be obnoxious. If you want to support me, please consider joining my campaign, and if not, comments really do help a lot. Please consider leaving one. If you want to see more from me, here's a few suggestions. Are you still in the holiday mood? Probably not, but in case you missed it, I did put out a review on a weird Christmas movie. If not, I also have plenty of Murder, She Wrote videos to binge. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.